Oh no, Visa's being bombarded by hate. Thousands of problematic games got taken down. They're censoring everything, man. And guess what? It's only gonna get worse. But at least they're feeling it a little bit. What happened, Rev? What are they saying? What are they feeling?
Hey, what's up, guys? Rev here. So I don't know about you, but it feels like we're entering a new era of censorship. Whether it's the new age verification system that has gone into effect in the UK or the looming ban on VPNs.
I think it's going to be coming in the US pretty soon. I think we're going to have that age verification system
that also is existing in the UK, or the fact that similar bills are being introduced to the United States, or the fact that thousands of games have been banned across multiple platforms. It really feels like censorship is ramping up at an alarming rate. Now, when anyone says, woke is dead.
Yeah, I think games that used to be allowed up on Newgrounds, I think those are going to be the types of games we're not going to be allowed to play anymore. And that's just the first stage. I think the second stage is they're going to start coming after games like Stellar Blade.
Censorship is dead. They're not seeing the full picture. This stuff is still alive as ever. Censorship is being pushed extremely hard right now. And you can see there's pushback. Visa and MasterCard are getting overwhelmed by gamer fury over censorship. And that happens after thousands of games have been banned thanks to the effort.
Sure. Like, here's where I'm at on it. What are they censoring? Are they censoring games that I'm going to be paying for in the future, or games that I've already paid for? Or games that have already existed? Are they going to be going back and retroactively censoring PlayStation 2 games, Xbox 360 games? If not, then I kind of don't really care. And I'm just not going to buy the milquetoast shitty censored games, If you're going to allow this to happen, I'm just not going to buy it. That's where I am.
Of small groups that are targeting these payment processors and making them put pressure on these platforms to ban certain games. And it's working, and that is the part that is really scary. It's not just and
it's pushing people like me out. I'm like already on the edge of just being out on buying any kind of entertainment and just sailing the 7 seas because it's just too much bullshit. Just too much bullshit. I'm tired of dealing with it.
18 plus hentai games or stuff like that. It's also horror games. That's the new development we're looking at today. And on top of that, there's way more to look at when it comes to Collective Shout, the main group that is initiating all of this. They're even going as far as to start making these vague threats against content creators who dare to...
Yeah, I heard Collective Shout was threatening to sue Smash JT. I'm gonna have to check that one out probably tomorrow.
Call out their lies and BS. Now, it's not all doom and gloom today. Here's a good piece of news before we get into today's topic. So, as many of you are already aware, I have a summer drop with Advanced GG that just launched a couple days ago. And right now, until the 1st, if you use code REV20 at checkout, you'll get 20% off your order from these items. And you can see I got my new flavor jars, the Rev's Shark Bait Lemonade flavor here. Rev's Rocket Pop has returned with a new label.
Man, we really got these energy drink companies popping up left and right, don't we?
This is a fan favorite flavor. And then we have Rev's Based Berry Blast, which is a new flavor. It's berry based, obviously. And you can see those 3 flavor jars and also some new clothing as well. This is new stuff here. You can pre-order, and also one of our ice shakers have been brought back, so you can pair that up with a flavor jar if you so choose. I'll put a link to this in the pinned comment. And again, use code REV20 at checkout to save.
I do like these energy drinks. I do like these powdered energy drinks, but I think there's just too many.
20% off this new drop. All of the support on this is greatly appreciated, and it leads to future campaigns as well. Thanks, guys, for the big support on this. Now let's get back into today's topic. So, about a week ago, we talked about this group called Collective Shout.
This is just a little side note going off of this energy drink thing. I think somebody needs to open up a YouTuber store. I think somebody needs to open up a store that just sells products from YouTubers and like internet people. I think that'd be really cool. All right.
In their description, they say a grassroots campaign movement against the objectification of women and sexualization of girls in media, advertising, and popular culture. This is a very small group of feminists based out of Australia who, after many years of tiny victories, all of a sudden claims responsibility for thousands of games being banned across multiple platforms. And as you can see,
yeah, this is what happens when people say that this stuff's not happening, and people like me have been saying, hey, this stuff's happening, we need to do something about it before it gets really bad. And then it gets really bad, and people are like, hey, we should do something, this is getting really bad, and then nobody does anything except a bunch of people on YouTube talk about it. And then it gets even worse. That's how these things go. Every single time. We have to start these giant movements that rarely ever work.
their account is private because they're losing the plot. They're losing the war on
Losing the plot. They've completely lost the plot.
social media. The free speech campaign where people
They're on a different plot completely. They're a completely different story all on their own. Their story is do everything we want, get things removed because that's all we exist for.
are criticizing them, they're getting hammered, whether it's directly through this account or their employees. They're getting smashed because they are nothing but people trying to push their agenda. They are masquerading as some sort of effort to save young girls from exploitation, but in reality, their efforts don't line up with what they're doing. In fact, they put way more importance on video games than they do protecting actual children. This is a giant farce.
Yeah, because governments don't know anything about video games. That's why. They hear these people are mad about video games, and they already don't like video games because they don't play them, and they hear nothing but bad things about them. So they're like, sure, let's let this roll through. We don't like video games anyway. We don't know how computers work. We're old.
This is their attempt at controlling the narrative and getting games banned across the way, including horror games, as we will see in just a moment. Basically, Collective Shout is a useful idiot. Basically, they opened the door. They somehow found the golden way of approaching these bans, and that is putting pressure on payment processors. And now the floodgates have opened, and everyone's jumping in the door they just opened, and now, well, games are getting banned by the thousands, and things are looking really bad. Like I said, they got small victories over the years. I mean, this was something they celebrated for a very long time, getting
Yeah, and people who are for this don't realize why Steam was hosting games like that in the first place. It's because there we were having some real big problems with games just being out on the internet that were, you know, actual problematic games. So Steam was like, well, we can cash in on this market and we can also regulate it. And that wasn't good enough. It's never good enough. It's not going to be good enough until every game is just PlayStation 1 Rugrats.
Target and Kmart to remove GTA 5 from their stores in Australia. Now, all these efforts were laughed at because the main account, as well as several of the employees of Collective Shout, have openly and viciously defended the Netflix film Cuties, which has sexually exploited hundreds of real children.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's filming. In fact,
I told you they were insane leftists.
You can see from the main account saying it's a powerful protest against the sexualization of girls. And how did...
Yeah, powerful protest. Okay. Let's protest against the sexualization of girls by sexualizing girls. Yeah, that makes a lot of fucking sense.
Did Cuties achieve that goal? By sexually exploiting real children. It's literally a movie about 11 to 12-year-old kids doing a twerk off while wearing...
Dude, this movie is actually the reason that I swore off all streaming services. I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to be done with it. That was the last straw. And how long has it been? This was before COVID.
Skimpy clothing. It's disgusting. It's exploitative material.
Yeah, September 30th, 2020.
And they defend that, but they want to ban games like GTA and even horror games, as we will see today. So,
shit might have happened during COVID.
Like I said, for years they were largely ignored, but they came up with a new strategy, and that is to put pressure on Visa and MasterCard. In case you don't know, payment processors like them dominate the field. If you lose Visa and MasterCard, if they remove their services from your platform, you're going broke. You've lost basically your entire monetization just like that. And people like myself, I hate to be like the person who said I told you so, but this happened in Japan about 2 years ago. That's when it started.
Yeah, we knew this was going to happen when they started banning people off of, like, Patreon and stuff. We saw this coming. We knew it was going to get this bad. And it's not even as bad as we said it was going to get. It's going to get much, much, much worse. They're going to start banning individuals off of Visa's platform. That's what's going to happen. The only reason it's not happening yet is because there's a viable parallel economy that can be formed because of it. But if they can get a grip on that, if they can get control on that, then they can debank anybody, and then they're just fucked.
When we saw this pattern and no one cared. A lot of people were basically saying, oh, well, who cares? The stupid hentai games have now been removed from stores and catalogs and what have you.
Or they're just straight up like, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. It's not actually happening. That's not what's going to happen. Well, we were right. Every fucking time.
And now it's expanding way beyond just that, and the people who are cheering on that censorship are going, whoa, wait a second, this isn't good. Because right now, this strategy has been extremely effective for Collective Shout. A very small group that should have no influence whatsoever has somehow gotten thousands of games banned in a very short period of time using this new strategy, and it's completely ridiculous. And even Steam is feeling the pressure, where they've made a new rule stating this: content that may violate the rules and standards set forth by Steam's payment processors and related card networks and banks or internet network providers, in particular, certain kinds of adult-only content. And that's
so fucking stupid. So fucked up. It's just another reason I don't want to use Steam. Like, I've been slowly getting off of Steam. I've been slowly getting onto GOG.
That is very vague and very open. And guess what? It's backfiring, and it's being applied to way more than what people initially thought. I mean, who...
Yeah, and I think after Lord Gabe is dead, which is going to be soon, dude is quite old, and he's starting to pull back a little bit. I think this shit's going to get much worse. I think Steam is probably going to die very, very soon, a lot sooner than people think. I can see it within 10, 20 years. It's just going to be dead. It's just not going to be the same as it was. It's going to be worse than Xbox and PlayStation is now. On purpose. Because they don't want Steam to be king. Because Steam controls too much. And doesn't allow shitty corporations to be shitty corporations when they want to be shitty. And that's too powerful.
Who saw that coming? Yeah, all the people who were cheering on all these previous bans of especially Japanese games are now going, oh, wait a second. You're banning my ethical, totally normal games that also contain mature content. And now...
Or just plain something that the payment processors don't like. It doesn't even have to be something bad. It could be like, oh, you said some COVID misinformation in your game. We're going to ban you. It may not even be now. It might be during the next COVID-like thing that happens. The next disaster.
They're trying to complain about it, but it might be just a little too late. But anyway.
We have a pandemic going on. We can't freak people out and have them playing Plague Inc. We have to not allow them to buy it or play it. That's what's coming. Shit like that.
Another target of Collective Shout and these pro-censorship groups is itch.io, an open indie game marketplace, and they're feeling the heat quite significantly. In fact, the campaign against them is so ridiculous. Even PC Gamer, who's usually the kind of slop place you see saying the worst takes ever about gaming, even they recognize how ridiculous this is and how this is not going to accomplish anything to protect women like Collective Shout claims it will. And that basically this is going to result in a new sort of sidestepping of these platforms and rules into other places where they can still just keep on selling their games. But
people who want stuff like this are still going to go after it. Maybe they'll lose some money, but they're still going to exist, and you're going to get even worse shit.
Like I said, it's not just the gooner bait games, as people will say. We now have horror games getting caught in the mix. This post saying, Vile Exhumed is banned on Steam. Mouthwashing removed on itch.io. We will return to that in just...
Didn't Penguin Zero, didn't Charlie play Mouthwashing? Didn't Asmongold play that game? That game's good enough to be played on YouTube, and it ended up getting banned. That's some fucking bullshit.
Just a second. And then 3, Fear and Hunger shadow banned on itch.io. So there are horror games getting banned on Steam and shadow banned on itch.io. And this is a very concerning thing. And honestly the natural conclusion of everything we've been talking about. This is how it's going to work. It's going to keep extending and extending and extending. And now some people are like, whoa, what's going on here? Well, people have been calling this out for years, and it got largely ignored.
Yeah,
now, of course,
that's how all of it happened. Even like the biggest people that we like. We always get ignored whenever we bring stuff up like this. Oh, it's not happening. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, it's a conspiracy theory. Okay. I'm just going to prepare myself for it to happen then, because you people are all fucking retarded.
First, we have to talk about mouthwashing. On this post, it's reported as removed. I don't blame this person because there was a lot of misinformation going on yesterday. In fact, I'm glad I didn't talk about this yesterday and went with something else, because there was a very confusing picture being made. So Mouthwashing is an indie game that was enormously successful, and it's one that came with an interesting set of controversies involving one of the people who worked on this game, as we will see in just a second. But this is the person right here, Martin, who said that yesterday Mouthwashing got yoinked from itch search results, basically saying it's been shadow banned, right? And he down here says, not surprised, was kind of waiting for it to happen. And then someone asks, wait, why? And this is very important. He says payment processors like MasterCard/Visa have been pushed by an activist group, Collective Shout, to deplatform not safe for work content on many major platforms, including itch. Collective Shout has tried to go after Steam, but were unsuccessful, so they started targeting payment processors instead. This paints a very clear picture that the payment processors were responsible for getting this removed. Collective Shout through the payment processors. And things will get complicated. Number one, because people like Hypnotic or Grum's reporting on this are seeing their posts about it getting restricted, which has to do with the new UK age verification law that's gone into effect. That's
what the fuck? That's crazy. I didn't know about this age restricting thing. I'm gonna have to look into that
for another day. It's very complicated, having very widespread and unintended results. I think these results are very intended, but we'll talk about that another time, but just something to point out. Now, going back to Martin here, he's someone who worked...
Well, if you live in the UK, it's probably about time that you need to be thinking about leaving, because it's turning into 1984 out there.
On the audio and music of Mouthwashing, and he originally left a bad taste in the mouth, no pun intended, of many people who were playing this game or were interested in playing this game, because when Asmongold made a video not only defending an artist being harassed for making artwork of a character that people thought was problematic, he also went out and played the game and really enjoyed it and promoted it to his audience. And this is how Martin, as a member of the team that made the game, responded, saying, "The anti-woke crowd has found the game, and I feel sick to my effing stomach. Being on Twitter is going to be unbelievably painful from now on, that I don't know if I can be active on here. I don't have the energy for this." Well,
it's the internet, bro. You're on Twitter. Like, it's not that big a deal. You don't have to be on it. Like, get fucking real. Also, I don't care about the developers. I don't care about who's involved with a game. All I care about is if a game is good. That's all I care about. Developers can be as dumb and as shitty as they want to be. All I care about is the product that they end up being a part of. That's what I care about.
Well, unfortunately, things got more complicated yesterday when itch.io on Blue Sky as well as on Twitter made it very clear that Mouthwashing has not been indexed since October of 2024, since it doesn't meet their indexing criteria. And they're using a download button as a link to Steam. The developer took down any playable files from this page in 2024. So it has been basically a year since this game was down on itch.io.
They were doing shitty practices and got taken down, and they lied about being taken down because of payment processors. Okay.
So way before any of this stuff involving Collective Shout. And of course, Martin would come on later and try to correct the record, saying that the delisting narrative he was sharing turned out to be false. Good on him for correcting the record, but a lot of people were rallying behind him, because despite his previous comments about Asmongold and other people who are anti-woke, people said, hey, you know what? We might not like those comments, but what's happening with Collective Shout and Mouthwashing, that's not cool. Okay? Even though you disagree with some of the things he said.
Yeah, bro, you just made everything so much more difficult for us. For all of us. Like, don't come out here and start making lies against the people that we're trying to fight against. Because you're just making them look better.
His game should still be allowed to exist without being taken down.
True.
And now the record's been corrected, and that's not what happened.
Yep.
And now it's just confusing because there's only really two results. Either people like Martin were just not paying attention at all, and
yeah, that and was lying.
And somehow didn't realize this game wasn't even there for a year, basically.
No, didn't know anything about it and just lied about it. It was like, oh, I wonder if mouthwashing is able to be searched for. Searches, doesn't know about anything. It was like, oh, you can't search for it? Must be because of the payment processors. Let's shit all over the payment processors and blame them. And it turns out that wasn't what happened.
Or they were trying
because
to
he's a lying
frame
piece of
this
shit.
in a way that made them look like a victim of
That-
Collective Shout.
Yeah, both. Both are true.
And their agenda. Either way, it's not a great look.
I don't think there is an either way. I think it's literally both.
But at the end of the day,
Didn't know and lied.
let's make this very clear. Just because Mouthwashing was not a victim of this campaign, there were other horror games that are. Whether they're getting delisted on itch.io or banned on Steam. It's happening. So just because Mouthwashing is not a part of that does not erase what's happening right before our eyes. And Collective Shout is very, very proud of what they're doing. In fact, they
Yeah, we're going to be very, very proud at what we're doing when we take them down.
made a
But we can't just take them down. You have to keep this energy going forever. Because you take them down, another one will pop up.
Steam campaign timeline where they say this: in response to false claims and misinformation about our campaign, we're setting the record straight. Some have asked why we involved payment processors, and others have claimed we are responsible for itch.io removing all not safe for work content. We raised our objection to R-word and incest games on Steam for months, and they ignored us for months. Good, as they should. We approached payment processors because Steam did not respond to us.
That's so shitty. And they're just coming right out and saying it. That we don't care about the laws. We're going to get what we want done, and we will go after everybody we can to have our agenda complete. Even though it's not illegal, so they can't go to the government.
We called on itch.io to remove R-word and incest games that we argued normalize violence and abuse of women. Itch.io made the decision to remove all not safe for work content. Our objections were to content that involved sexualized violence and torture of women. So here they are once again making claims with no evidence about how this is leading to people being harmed in real life and all these things. But it appears very clear that they're proud of what they're doing. They're claiming this as a victory, and that this campaign where they're going after payment,
they're claiming it as a victory for the first battle won, and they're gonna go after more. They're not gonna stop. Why would they? Are they just gonna, this is it, this is all they're doing, now they're gonna dust their hands off and go lay in a corner and die? I don't think so.
processors has been working, and also they were able to bully itch.io into removing all of their not safe for work content, which is cascading into places where you don't really expect, including horror games. And Steam was something they wanted to bully. They couldn't, so like a hall monitor, they went to the payment processors and went through them instead, and unfortunately, it worked. Now, there's something else very interesting going on with Collective Shout.
They're going to have to find some other way, because we've caught on, and I don't think going after the payment processors is going to work. Because you go after the payment processors for something that literally everybody doesn't want you to do. Like, we're going to go after the payment processors. And there's a lot more of us, and I can guarantee you we're a lot louder.
Shout. As Bounding into Comics reports here, Collective Shout's staff are now stockpiling personal and family data on creators Smash JT and Madam Savvy and more. We need more evidence of these mafia-like tactics. Please keep an eye out for attempts from Collective Shout to dox their opposition. Fear is the only tactic they can trust. And that is something
Yep.
they have been doing through this.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that whole Smash JT situation, because that's some fucking weird bullshit.
This individual, this LS Kennedy, who is an ethics, compliance, supply chain, corp governance and behavior.
All things that I hate.
Blah, 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 blah. They work for Collective Shout as a campaigner. Now, they have been crashing out nonstop on Twitter. I swear almost every single thing this person says gets ratioed into the shadow realm and also gets hit with a community note dispelling.
Yeah, and they're not going to go after things that are actually a problem. They're going to only go after things that they think they can go after.
The lies they're sharing. And they make this long claim attacking Savvy in particular, basically saying she's lying, she's doing all this stuff wrong. And as you can see by the notes, the screenshots in question all bore connection to Savvy's arguments and were not at all dishonest or false whatsoever. No bullying was involved, only the spreading of public information.
Damn.
So yes, Savvy's been doing a lot of work exposing what's going on with Collective Shout.
But why would we believe the community notes on X, the platform that is owned and run by Elon Musk, an actual Nazi? That's what these people think whenever they see these community notes. They don't give a fuck about community notes. They don't give a fuck about what's real.
They don't like that, so they call her a liar. And here's all the proof. If you want to go through it yourself, do as you please. But it's very obvious.
Yeah, nobody's going to go through that.
Valid concerns and
especially the people on her side. They're not going to go through that.
Valid points based on public posts. And this person's trying to deny it. And look at it. 36 likes versus 200 plus quotes dunking on them.
Also, the comments are locked. You see
and
that?
And then down here, they say, as for our records, citing advocate for the pro-game illegal content gaming crowd, Madam Savvy and Smash JT.
That's crazy.
Rubbished our winning campaign, calling.
That's defamation. Saying that they're part of the CSAM rape incest gaming crowd. Smash JT, Madam Savvy. Okay. Go ahead. Keep going with that energy.
Brumby's Bakery to ditch a sexist slogan, workplace uniform tees, which put young female employees at the risk of sexual harassment. Yeah, they targeted a local bakery that had a shirt that said the best buns in town, of course, referring to bread.
That's funny.
A little joke. And they relentlessly went after them and were successful.
Yeah, like I said, they only go after the people they think they can go after. So they're going to go after a small bakery. Okay.
And
also, I just want to point out right here, to Madam Savvy and Married and Father Smash JT, like, why do you have to put that out into the world that he's married and is a father? You're trying to tell people that, and they're going to use that as fuel to freak them out, to instill fear, which, by the way, in my opinion, is fucking terrorism. If you're trying to terrorize people, that is terrorism.
Basically bullying the small company into changing their ways. But down here, do Madam Savvy and Married and Father Smash JT think it's okay for employers to facilitate and invite the sexual harassment of girls in the workplace?
What the fuck are you on?
Sounds like a bit of a threat, doesn't it? Why are you also including this? What are you trying to imply? They're definitely making a very vague threat.
They want a situation that happened to Ethan Klein to happen to Smash JT.
Towards these individuals, and that's not surprising. That's how these people operate. They operate on fear. They want to make you feel unsafe, and that's what they do. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and they're trying to say, like, this guy is a piece of shit. He's also got a wife and a kid, and he's this big of a piece of shit. Imagine what they feel. Something has to be done about this guy. Oh, won't somebody rid me of this priest? That's what it comes off as.
And of course, they're mad at people like Savvy because they've been sharing information like this, that you can submit complaints about these companies to them. And that's something they're legally required to have available for people. And guess what? It's working, because Visa and MasterCard are getting overwhelmed by the amount of emails and phone calls being made to them.
Good.
And if you want
I hope it gets worse
to do these routes, all I ask is that you be respectful. You have a plan, right? You actually have something to say, a valid point or criticism or set of questions, and you do it in the most professional manner you can, because, you know, just calling up and saying a bunch of nonsense isn't going to help anything. But if you make a
I guarantee you they're getting a lot of that.
A solid inquiry on what's going on here, I think you can do some really good things and help push back, because as they bullied these companies and these platforms into doing their will, the same thing can be done to remedy it as well. If you complain enough,
I think that's the only way it can be done at this point, for this current situation that we found ourselves in, because nobody did anything.
Something should happen. It's not
Pretended
a guarantee.
It didn't happen.
But it's better than nothing, right? So it's going to be a long road. There's a lot going on. Like I said, it feels like we're in a new era of censorship, and there's so much more to talk about.
Oh, and it's going to get worse, because right now they're just hitting the video games, and it's just one collective shout. I think we're about to see a lot more of these organizations popping up because they realize it's starting to work. And this is going to be the new problem. We've gotten away from the wokeism, and now we're going to get a new kind of wokeism that's like super corporate and goes after big corporations. It's like these groups of people that are just out and about now. They're not hiding in the shadows anymore. And they're pissed. They've been backed into a corner, so they're backing these companies that are easily backed into corners.
And I will in the coming days, but this already was dragging on for almost 20 minutes, so we're going to end it here.
This is a very good video, very informative video. I'm glad that I watched this, and I'm glad that I now know about this Smash JT situation. Definitely going to have to look further into that. Fuck these payment processors. I've been saying it for a very long time. Fuck the payment processors. Like, comment, subscribe. Ring the bell for all the notifications.